Welcome back to GearHeads, the Simracing podcast, and happy Wednesday if you listen me on the day that this pod came out. As we enter in August, a lot of good content, and I can't wait to disclosing with you. So please, guys, keep an eye on our social media. Links will be on the bio of the podcast. If you're listening on audio, or if you see on YouTube, just click on our link to know everything about our social media and where you can find us. So let's jump on the episode of today. Today we have a full episode where we're gonna talk with the dev. Let me emphasize part of the dev, as he's alone creating in Unreal 5 one homage game to one of the best rally arcade games. Not one of the best, that's calling him the best arcade game. I will call him the best rally arcade game ever. I'm talking about Sega Rally from 94. The game, like you say, arrived to the arcade games in 94. 95 arrived to the PC, and from them arrived to all the platforms available. As you can understand, that is a very good looking game. I think Alessandro is putting a lot of effort, and it's going to be interesting to understand how Alessandro go from creating movies with Sony and working on Gran Turismo movie and go to the racing game industry and now creating his own game and working with other games, as we will disclose it. So going to be quite interesting to understand that. But before we jump on the interview, let me only talking about the podcast. If you see us on YouTube, you realize that we have now a new intro, as was on the last episode. And on the intro, we say that you're gonna have a guest every 2 weeks. So that was a plan, but now we nail it, and that is staying with us. So meaning that between, we don't gonna have a theme of the week, we're gonna have something more relaxed, and we're gonna have a jazz version of the podcast where we will talk only, it's very smooth, by briefly 15 minutes to 20 minutes, something lightly. We will disclose what is the news and what is happening on a sim racing between that time that we have a guest. So it's something that's going to be quite interesting for me to develop, but going to have more time to write proper scripts to give you a better emphasis of everything and creating every time video and audio at the same time. So it's quite exciting for me, and as we're talking about exciting, let's jump on our interview. Today I have Alessandro Schiassi.
Thank you.
So talk me, what started the Overjump Rally?
So yeah, I wanted to learn Unreal Engine 5 because it looked amazing. And while I was studying, using some tutorials online, I realized, it's pretty easy to create natural environments, rocks, trees, anything that's, not touched by society yet. So I was thinking, it could be a good idea to maybe remake an old game, because you can start with a fan base. You have like a blueprint, let's say, of what's existing in terms of shape of the levels, the track in this case. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I should go back to 32-bit, and I grew up playing Sega Saturn games. Then, of course, I moved to Dreamcast. But yeah, Sega Saturn was not my start. I started with Master System, but it was for me like, okay, this is now serious gaming. I'm going to start reading reviews from magazines. Gonna, buy like a game per month. Gonna convince my friends to buy a Saturn as well. So we start like sharing games. We organize parties just to play. This was during middle school, and I had a lot of fun. I also have a brother. He's 1.5 years older than me, so we play a lot two-player games. And one was Sega Rally, so I had fun memories. And I realized, okay, maybe remaking Sega Rally might work. Sega itself hasn't been using that IP for over 10 years, And Sega is actually really good about giving a licensing to indie devs, even solo devs. there are examples, even recent ones. Sonic Mania started as a fan project. Streets of Rage 4, Wonder Boy, Alex Kidd, Panzer Dragoon VR, and recently Sea Smash, which is a Cosmic Smash VR game. It wasn't VR for Dreamcast, but it felt VR. So yeah, it has been recently released for PlayStation 2 VR, PlayStation 5, PS2, PSVR 2. So okay, Sega is pretty chill about this. That gives me hope. So I start see what was the situation on social media, and I noticed on Twitter there was a really strong retro community, also on Facebook, but I felt Twitter was the most active. And honestly, I start posting some tests. My plan was to learn Unreal Engine 5 while I was doing this. So I would get exposure, I would learn good feedback, and overall, worst case scenario, I just start my own career in video games. Which is I come from visual effects, so I've been doing visual effects for 15 years. So it's not like that different, to be honest. It's still entertaining. Entertainment business.
You still work with animations, no?
Yeah. There is a lot of overlapping in terms of understanding, especially when you come to post-production. The look, to get the photorealistic look. That's something I was able to do before even starting play around with the Unreal Engine 5. But I was blown away by the kind of graphics you were able to achieve in real time. In the movies, we have to render, and it takes even seconds or minutes per frame. Here is 60 frames or more per second. So it was like, wow, can't believe I can adjust, tweak, and see the result right now. So you can iterate, you can really keep improving in a very short amount of time until you're really satisfied. So this is a huge advantage, and for me it was really, especially I have a background in photography as well, so being able to change the lighting, the sun position, create the environment you want to see, fascinating. So yeah, basically I picked Sega Rally not because I'm a huge fan of racing games. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah, we talk about this one before.
But because
why not?
Why? I don't know. Like, again, maybe because I started with arcade games, and I felt now getting back into racing games, there is a really steep curve, Or maybe there are like something in between, like arcade sim, or maybe I was missing the competition of my brother, were just next to me. We were just playing. Yeah, I've been playing adventure game, more narrative titles. Also because I was working in movies, so it made sense to have this overlap to understand the benefits of telling a story through a fixed passive medium like a movie, a TV show, instead of something you have more control over the time, how you push the story forward. I think a great example is Red Dead Redemption 2, where there is the main story, there are the sub stories, and also you have the freedom to go around and at your own pace. So there is still a strong vision, a direction overall for the story itself, but at the same time, you really enjoy exploring the world. So I feel honestly that now watching some TV shows, like, okay, this is cool, but I wish this was a video game instead, because they have so much detailed world. For example, the Mandalorian, there are like these planets, these civilizations, and you wish you were able to go more in details, explore. Maybe we were talking about the Italians and
but
exploring the world.
Yeah, I think it's what's happening, because even changing a little bit for racing games to the Star Wars that you're talking, I think is coming open RPG Star Wars game, and I think he's talking about six full world completely different, and I think that's gonna give, even to the storyline, give you much more for expanding and everything. I think gaming industry will be the future. Be connecting to racing, be connecting to anything will be the future, because more and more we have an immersion.
Honestly, I feel like graphics are getting really photorealistic. You know, we've been talking for years, but now I feel like this is the time, especially from me coming from the movie industry. So I know exactly how, you know, the camera creates that realism, which is different from the realism you perceive with your own eyes. You know, so it's in terms of you know, these more details like vignettes, a bit of chromatic aberration, motion blur, grain, also, you know, the kind of lens you use, they're different. With our eyes, we have a better way to see inside the shadows, when outside it's bright. It's called dynamic range, while cameras still struggle to, you know, if you're like exposed for the inside, outside it's completely white, blown out, and vice versa. But our lives, we can still, like, I can look outside the window, I still see details, but at the same time I see details inside my room. So yeah, these are something that video games are trying to get closer to movies, because we perceive, oh, this is a movie, not a movie, just a video. So there are recent examples like the body cam game, probably you've seen it. That gives you that the feel like, okay, wow, this feels like it's recorded in a real environment, you know. And same, it's done in racing games, you know, like even just the camera shake, it feels like a real camera was behind. Actually, I've started seeing real
ray
videos.
Trace, no?
No, it's more shaking the camera. Ray tracing, yeah, it's about bouncing the light to create a better, realistic result, because the light is not just coming around to a point and that's it. The fact that you can see an object is because the light is bouncing around until hits your eyes. But you know, there are so many bounces. The more bounces you have,
and in terms of the when you create the worlds for that you are creating now for the game, how you are manage all the details of the light and everything to keep talking about.
So Unreal Engine 5 comes with this feature called Lumen, which is ray tracing, but instead being paired with a specific graphics card like RTX for NVIDIA cards. This one can work on anything, including consoles. That's why if you play the Matrix demo for PS5, you were able to see ray tracing on a console, which is pretty rare, you know. So yeah, Lumen gives you that quality that it really brings you closer to photorealism. There is this step after, which is path tracing, which is now is been introduced in Cyberpunk. You need a really powerful card to be able to see it, but the result is really outstanding, because again, the more bounces you have, the more realistic it looks. That's
you're gonna have,
that's how reality works. So yeah, I feel like now video games are trying to mimic movies, and vice versa. I see a lot of movies trying to mimic video games, you know, POV cameras and whatnot. The new Gran Turismo. Actually, I worked on the advertising part of the Gran Turismo movie. So,
okay,
because I used to work for Sony until like 2 months ago. I still work in weekends for them here and there. But yeah, it's cool. From the trailer, you can see the camera on the back, like in the video game. Yeah, and I've seen a few videos of cameras stuck on a pole in real life too, which is great. It feels like, you know, reality is mimicking video games, so it's like a cycle.
Yeah, because it is a small world, you know. So around where I live is one of person that we know, and he's one of the coordinators for Gran Turismo. So they went all them to Hungary, was where they have to
Yeah,
filming
yeah,
everything,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's very surprised with the game and the game with the movie, and he's quite enthusiastic with everything. Let's see. I think I think gonna be good, but after I think gonna put everyone think that now they play video games, they're gonna be a racing driver, like you saw when it was
Well, yeah.
Top Gun. Everyone think they could go on airplane,
Well,
go on
it will
airplane.
increase. Yeah, it will increase the quality because there are going to be more people trying, and maybe a really
Yeah, that's
talented one will
100%.
surface. Yeah, and yeah, I feel like it's really good for them as long as they're able to really
It's
and
even
the
as a
racing.
franchise.
Yeah, and racing is something that is not like giving priority to someone or instead of someone others. That's the time. There is no
Yeah,
way
exactly.
to, unless you cheat some other ways with your car or whatever. But hey, that's the time. That's your skills. It's on paper.
Believe me,
You know.
believe me, is already a lot of things happen on the community about cheaters, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, it's
and
already appearing a lot. It's always a way, be
I
on
feel
video
that.
games, on a sport or whatever. It's always a way of someone gonna try to get the best results on the most easy way. But,
Yeah,
but yeah, I
and
think rally games more. I think we need more games, and you bring a Sega Rally after when was the first one? 30 years ago, I think 94. No,
almost. Yeah, the first
yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
arcade came out in '94 year, and the '95 is the Saturn version. So that's another reason why I'm pushing is to trying to get for the 30th anniversary, at least for
Okay,
the Saturn version, so maybe 2025. But I might be able to finish at least a simple version, early access with only the arcade features for end of 2024, which is the original was released in November
okay.
'94. So yeah, it's a
And in
good.
terms of the game, is you base it totally on the old game, or you are creating new tracks? You are bringing modern
So
cars?
yeah,
How gonna work everything?
yeah, so far I only recreated the forest track because it was
Okay,
also the track in the demo was called the bootleg sampler. It was a free demo for Sega Saturn that came out in the US, and there was only the forest track just to play the game. So I wanted to recreate that sense of okay, there is only one track to go around, and I feel like also that track has different surfaces and it's a bit more tricky. There's a hairpin, so I want to really to have that to test all the scenarios you might find in other tracks in the game. My plan is actually just to recreate the four tracks from the original Sega Rally again
okay,
if this gets greenlit from Sega. But at the same time, I want to also allow the player to play them in reverse, uh, which is honestly it's a completely different track because every turn you arrive at a different speed, the shape is different, and even the scenario looks a bit different because you see details that otherwise you won't be able to see normally. So
exactly.
that's already like doubling, even if again most of the scenario is the same, you're already doubling. Plus, I want to add times of the day, so maybe you play at night with only the headlights, and that's again really making the difference
Completely
in terms
different.
of
Yeah.
challenge, and also add like weather, so rain, snow, or sandstorm in the desert. I feel like really adding all these up, you even if there are technically four tracks, you have plenty of ways to challenge yourself, even so slightly. I feel like there is nowadays games that have way too many tracks, and that's something that was addressed by someone in the industry as well. Like, really, how are you gonna learn all those tracks and learn it really well? There is no time. The same with the cars. Too many cars. At the end, you're probably gonna play like two or three, five, 10 maybe. So I feel like the moment you reduce the number of cards and tracks, it's up to you to better your own time. which is what Sega Rally. Well, people are still playing Sega Rally to these days, almost after 30 years, because it's all about improving your own. Even
Exactly.
like half a millisecond off, because you learn, okay, in this one I can, let the accelerator go just a second earlier. So it's more about, self-improvement rather than, let me see this, let me try this track, and maybe you just play for an hour or two, and okay, that's it. I'm not saying they are bad tracks. I feel like when they have too many options, like on Netflix, sometimes you spend 30 minutes just to pick a
Exactly.
movie.
No, but you talked something important. Is I think it was this week I read this one about Forza Horizon 5. So Forza
Yeah.
Horizon 5, from the day that will release until this day, if you was playing every day a different car, you still will be missing 100 cars. So if you was playing since the game has been releasing until now, that is already I think 4 years or 3 years, you will
how
not
many
be
cars
able
do
to.
they have?
I don't know, but they, of course, a lot of cars are versions. The 90. That's what we praise 99, and after they're gonna have another version. They're gonna have a lot of versions from the same model in himself. But still, I know these to for they get everyone happy. But sometimes quantity is not quality, and sometimes it's what
I'd
we
rather
see
have
when what happened in games like Project Cars 2. That was a game that have so many cars there, so many different physics that after they could not get everything correctly. And if they was focused only in make physics for one type of cars correctly, and after start adding slowly more cars and work on that, the game probably could have more years and not die after 1 year or 2 years that the game slowly start dying. So I think so. And in terms of the physics, you are basic on the old physics of the game, or you are creating new physics?
No,
How are you adapting yourself?
So, I'm using Chaos vehicle. Chaos is the physics engine inside Unreal Engine.
Okay.
They used to have Physics X, but now they discontinued, and now it's only Chaos, which is also used. If you destroy something, you see, pieces bouncing around. And then they simply applied those physics to a vehicle. That was another reason why I picked a racing game, because I felt like, okay, I don't need to create animations. It's all there. I just need to tweak it enough to feels like the original. That took months. I'm really happy with the result now, but oh boy. Also, I didn't know much about cars, so I had to learn a lot. Like it was a challenge by itself, I was like, okay, let me understand the gear ratio. What is this? And
this is why
the advantage. Yeah, you can test it and understand. Okay, I can see why. Now if you change these numbers, the car behaves differently, right? So it's been like learning about Unreal Engine and learning about engines, like a real ones. So that was frustrating, but also fun in a way. Let's put it that way.
Because I think us as a gamers, we always think that the studios have thousands of people working, or the devs behind the game, they are there like leprechauns, 24 hours, 7 days, just inside of a basement creating everything. And it's not like this when everyone.
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But it's not so like that, and it's so many things around racing games that we outsiders we just think, oh, it just make like this, or we just have to tweak like that. They have so many things to work, even being arcades, that I think you guys take hours and hours to develop only one single thing. So in terms of cars, you have on the videos, you have the Celica, you have the Lancia Delta, and that's going to be the cars that you're going to have, or you try to bring more.
And also the
Lancia Stratos. Okay.
Yeah, so I feel like this is a project that could really benefit of DLCs. So
Okay.
content coming out after, depending on the sales, because of course cars licensing has its own price. I already got in touch with the studio that licenses Lancia cars. I have the contact for the Toyota as well, but I haven't. I want
Okay.
to get Lancia first, and then say, hey, there's a. We already have one. Would you like to? So I feel like again, it's. I would like just to recreate the original as it was, with of course the tweaks I mentioned. Like time of day, weather, and so they will already give you extra stuff to play around with while still being faithful to the original. And of course,
Okay.
graphics now it's more advanced. I would not say
Yeah,
better
it's
because
crazy.
honestly, it really aged. Yeah, the old game still aged greatly. Like because I felt that there was a cohesion. What first of all, they understood the limits of the Model 2, the arcade board, which, by the way, at the time, that was by far the best graphics you could have in a game, period. That actually they developed that card with the NASA and Lockheed Martin. They paid for the using some of the technology. They spent like $2 million just to be able to play around with that technology and put into arcade cabinets, which also were like having like force feedback, the
Hmm.
axis movement. I mean, Sega was really advanced. This is '94. We are talking about
Yeah.
Daytona before that, but yeah, Sega was basically creating like amusement park kind of rides, but in miniature to ship it around the world. That was for me part of the success, because as a kid you were able to basically drive like a real car. As it was the closest one to drive a real car. It was a simulation, so to speak, without having to steal your dad's car and kill yourself in the process. So yeah, I
Exactly.
feel like and Sega really has been quoted by many people for being an inspiration. For example, at Codemasters for Colin McRae rally. Actually, I got in touch. I met with Guy Wilday. He was head of studios at Codemasters, and yeah, he told me when he met Colin McRae, he even rode with him on a couple of times for promoting the game. One first was before the game started production, because
Mhm.
they were giving rides to the devs to understand what would be like to be in a rally car, and the second time was during the promotion. And so yeah, imagine being in the same car with Colin McRae driving you around a Subaru. Yeah,
I
he
think
told me
it's crazy,
it
man.
was insane. Yeah, he told me like Colin, he only wanted to talk about cars, like nothing else. They try, to bring the conversation to technology. He wasn't interested. The moment you start talking about cars, he was like, yes, let's go.
But I think it is that I
Absolutely
think
legend.
even probably Colin McRae on that time he didn't realize the foundation that Codemaster was doing with his game. Because I
Yeah,
remember playing Sega Rally on the like going to the shopping mall. So I was going to the
yeah,
shopping mall. Shopping mall would have there some arcades on the corner while my father was going the supermarkets buy the things. On the final, we was going to the car. We were playing. I remember always would be Daytona, would be Sega Rally, or probably a football game that would appear there. But after Sega Rally
Metal
came to
Slug
the
maybe.
no, it was no. I think it was no Metal Slug there. I don't remember. No, it was just a couple of really small arcades. Just was just there just to
Okay,
get the money. I think
just the
was just,
best.
exactly. So and after Sega Rally came to PC, I remember play on at home and play with my friends. But when came Colin McRae, two I think was when I started jumping more on the rally games because it was
Yeah,
completely different of everything with the
yeah,
damage. Making a full season of rally, carrying on everything, all the classic
It
cars
felt
until modern.
yeah, it was really a good evolution. We got Sega Rally, Daytona, Ridge Racer, but also Gran Turismo, and then Colin McRae, V Rally. So it was really the perfect moment to use the advantage of the technology, 30-bit graphics, so 3D, and slowly roll into what later became. And of course, there were sim games before, but they were pretty crude in terms of graphics. And without the visual input, you can have the most precise, driving experience, but it will not give you a constant feedback on what's happening on the track or on the street. So yeah, I feel like these are really milestones in terms of the evolution what we have now in terms, But at the same time, I feel like arcade games, especially racing games, nowadays are mobile games, right? Arcade equals cartoonish graphics. While for me, growing up, arcade meant the best graphics available ever. Not even the most powerful PC would be able to achieve that. So honestly, okay, this is really sad. This is not what I would define an arcade game, which it wasn't just about the experience of just play for 5 minutes, you feel satisfied, and maybe you play again. But it was also the visual spectacle it will get. So when Unreal Engine 5 was released, I said, okay, that makes sense. Then I make an arcade game with the most advanced graphics. Some people ask me, oh, why are you doing that? It's kind of weird to see an arcade with, photorealistic graphics. You're clearly too young to understand.
But I agree with you. So, I think let's go to talking about Rally. So like we talked before we started the podcast, Rally is a gender. Is a very small niche for the community. Not everyone like Rally. And I think, for example, the rally game industry, on the early 2000s, they get Colin McRae and they get Richard Burns that create, and with them creating two games that was very good. And as a Codemaster in the 2000s, I think when they used Ken Block, when Ken Block was getting famous with the Gincana and started doing games about the Gincana, I think they bring again people to the racing, to the rally games. But now, these days, I think rally games are again going a little bit down. We don't have so many people go to see the WRC. I think if I ask you who won the last WRC, probably you don't going to remember. You don't know when was the last.
Solberg.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still ongoing. I follow them. Yeah, there was Kenya last month, Estonia.
Yeah, it was Estonia. Yeah, it was Estonia. But but people don't. Or I think, WRC make a series like Netflix. That was probably what F1 make it. That make them explode the way they explode.
Yeah,
because you say or not say, F1 have exploded in these last 2 years, completely crazy.
Yeah,
I saw the last Grand Prix in 2019, and I had 200,000 persons on UK. Last race after 3 years or 4 years is a double. So it's crazy how they evolve so much.
Yeah, there was a series from Subaru called the Traction Control. About rally the season, but it was pretty boring, honestly. The voiceover was kind of monotone.
You need Americans to do it. I'm sorry, I don't want to say, but you need Americans to do it because they know how to explore.
Yeah,
they know how to explore the drama. They found any. Yeah, exactly. Because they bring anything that even don't important, and they can. I would not say manipulate it, but they can play the way that will feel that was this drama. Because sometimes the F1 series, I think they're just filming normally 8 races on a calendar, 8 to 10 races on the calendar. So they don't stay there all year, and from that they get everything enough to make a 10 episodes probably series, and they create drama where not exists. They make things that not exist, but captivate the people. Is
it create a narrative.
Exactly.
Maybe they could be done also in a game. Maybe, I don't know. I would like to see a manga of Sega Rally. or anime.
think was
The anime, like think
yeah,
about Initial D. You know,
still have a huge
that's a
fan
great
base.
way to. Yeah,
Initial D Studio have a
which
huge fan
Sega
base.
is still making games, arcade games for Initial D franchise, even like 2 years ago when it came out. So yeah, it's an interesting IP and huge following, and again because of the story itself, it's fascinating. Honestly, the racing world. I mean, Fast and Furious made 10 movies out of the concept of illegal street
Yeah.
racing. Of course, became spy movies
Completely.
with superheroes. Which
Yeah.
for me, the best one is still Tokyo Drift. That's the best movie they ever made. I wish they would make more Tokyo Drift
Yeah,
sequels.
but I think
That
it's the
would
same
be.
thing with the arcade games. I think people evolve so much far away from all that things that that's the problem. I think we need to
Yeah,
captivate them to go
that's
back and
when the
see that.
nostalgia kicks in,
Could
right?
be, could be.
So yeah, you can really, or that's what I'm hoping with this project, to really capture the nostalgia by using new flashy graphics and features. For example, in my game, there is, yes, the driving part, of course, that's key. But also, I create this event that you can explore on foot. You can really
Okay.
first person just go around. You can see the race happening, maybe online, and people that are playing. So you're like part of the crowd, a spectator. But also you can go around, see your replays in the specific media booth. Um, you can, go to see the car they're getting fixed, because that's what rally is about. It's being among the people. It's not like all gated. The boxes are like outside. You're in the crowd on the uh, bleachers, like on the seats. Rally,
Mhm.
it's everywhere. That is more like uh, for the normal people, let's say, because you don't have to pay a ticket to see it.
Something that you talk because you said that we walk away. You can walk on the game because the last
Yeah,
4 pictures that you put today on
yeah,
the Twitter, and I say today on Saturday. Uh,
yeah.
Today is
When
a
we are
29,
recording,
just for everyone. No, yeah. You have these 4 nice pictures with a lot of Easter eggs, with a Sonic Edge, like
yeah,
type of statue, loads of posters of Overjump Rally and everything. So
yeah,
when we are walking, we can go to these areas and see these
yeah,
old
yeah, yeah,
school TVs.
yeah,
Okay, and
yeah.
you
So
have
I
any type
spent
of motion? You have people
yeah,
passing
yeah.
around, or
Imagine
is it
like
just stationary?
yeah. There's gonna be people like the crowd walking
Okay,
around,
NPCs.
and plus if
We can
it's
call them.
online, yeah, NPCs, yeah. And if it's online, you're gonna see other people, either your friends you invite to that specific server,
Oh, okay. So
or
it's like an
random.
open
So you
hub.
can,
Okay,
yeah. So you
okay,
you can
that's
strike up a
cool.
conversation, say, "Hey, how's it going?" So maybe while you're waiting for people to join the game, that's
Okay,
a lobby, online lobby.
okay,
It
and
feels like Fantasy Star Online when you were decide where
okay,
to go, which mission to do.
but
Like, okay,
on
let's do
racing.
a race. Yeah, you can basically challenge somebody on the spot. So okay, let's
All
race
right,
now.
that's interesting. And in terms of like setups, we're gonna be able to set up your car. We're gonna
Yeah.
have options, or are gonna be just the car way it is?
Well, I'm gonna start like the arcade version was, where you just
Okay,
pick
just the
automatic or
car.
manual
Yeah.
gears. For the Saturn version, there were some tweaks you were able to do. Oh, nothing crazy. Don't expect anything even remotely to what
No, and I'm not
Simracing
putting any pressure.
nowadays.
I'm just
Yeah, because
curiosity. How are we gonna work?
yeah, yeah, no, yeah. I don't want to create too many sub categories of the best records. Because
Okay,
now you
okay,
have
makes sense.
the record with the car tweak, but now instead of the car vanilla, so it's the
Yep,
classic. So I
makes
rather
sense.
have the best players period driving that car in that condition. So like rain, best time; night, best time; day, best time; reverse or normal. That's it.
Yeah, it's just
Otherwise, you're
okay.
like, even just having too many cars, you will see, of course, the fastest car gets the faster time. But I want to see how good you are with the, only that car. Of course, you will be able to filter. And itself, in the game itself, the Cedric and Delta, people say, "Oh, this is a bit faster." No, this is one. Honestly, I feel like they are exactly the same. I was not able to find even the most pro, the guys with the world record, which I'm in touch with. They cannot say, "Oh, yeah, this is," except for the Stratos, which is a different league. But yeah, Cedric and Delta in the game, and I'm gonna try to do the same with my game. So far, I've been focusing on the
So
Delta
every
because I don't want,
category will be the
to,
same. Every car category will
yeah,
be the same. Okay.
yeah. We'll see in the future because I would like to bring cars from Sega Rally 2.
Okay.
So having like a DLC with the cars and tracks from Sega Rally 2, where tracks I think are gonna do like a more heavy lifting because I'm not a big fan of those tracks. They're not so as iconic as the first one. They feel like they're all the same within. So I might, expand them, use maybe the same shape but change scenario quite a bit. I have already ideas. For example, I would like to have this Africa Cup. So you have
Okay.
a safari, you have a jungle, and maybe you have dunes. So you kind of like Paris Dakar kind of scenario with that, like you drive around the oasis, so you see the dunes. So they're all in Africa, right? Then it's like the Europe one, or maybe like Mediterranean. So we have um, um,
Corsica.
Corsica,
Yeah.
Garda course, and
Yeah.
Monte Carlo, of course. And I would like to add also Dolomites because I used to go to the Dolomites growing up. That's when when I was a kid, I was dreaming about having a Sega Rally track in the Dolomites. So that was probably the inception of Overjump Rally, and when I was like, I don't know, 8, 9, you know. So yeah, that would have been. I would love to bring those in the real game, and of course also Scandinavia. We have Thousand Lakes in Finland, but I would like to have Iceland. So maybe
But even the areas of
the
Austria and
volcanic.
Switzerland is such a good
Yeah. There are
iconic
a lot of
mountains
beautiful places. Yeah, or
and you
Portugal.
feel
I
that
would like.
yeah, you feel that of this time probably you can start incorporate the I don't know like Google Maps to create the tracks. You think will be
No,
easy?
no, absolutely not.
Is
No,
difficult. Okay.
no, they need. I've seen plugins to bring Google Maps, but they are really low quality. So unless you recreate
Oh,
basically
so
everything,
the only thing you can create is just the road layout, and after need to build
yeah,
everything.
I've seen mods for Assetto Corsa where
Hmm.
people they went to a real location, they took videos, they used photogrammetry to create the 3D version of that area and then import. So I see people driving in California roads in Assetto Corsa. That still is not the highest quality, but it gives you a good idea of what the future might be, especially for modding. But in terms of visual quality and performance, you have to redo everything inside Unreal using the right tools. Otherwise it will look not even low poly. It will look. I mean, if you've been to a Google Street Map, you know what I mean. It's like, especially Google Earth from the top. The trees are like random polygons just to give you the idea
No,
that
but the
it's there.
idea I was asking was not create from what you see on Google Earth or Google Maps, but have the layouts, so you can go take a layout from Corsica and go around the road, check all going to be a layout of the road,
Yeah, but
and after
I mean, Sega really doesn't use real roads anyway. So
mhm,
I will just limit
just go the
myself
way.
because I would rather design a track that's fun to drive for 1 minute, 2 minutes maximum, right? And I don't think there is such thing in reality, unless just specific spots. But then
I think no,
you
it's
have
going to be
to
difficult.
modify. Good thing, yeah. In that case, you won't have to pay for licensing for the tracks, unlike
Yeah, exactly.
sim racing games, and those are expensive
Yeah,
as well. So
I can
creating
imagine.
tracks either from your roads, that's a good way to go.
Now is the time of talking about affiliate links and how can you support the channel. You can click on our affiliate link with Race Anywhere. The link will be always on the podcast info or the podcast episode. You just scroll up and you're gonna have a link to click there. And of course, if you see it on YouTube, just go and click on that link. It will be very, very important for us. And of course, see what they have there. They have a lot of good discounts, always a lot of new things coming to their store. So keep an eye on Race Anywhere and of course click it. It helps us. Please click it. Part of Patreon, you can always help us supporting us on YouTube, on audio. On YouTube, just hit the like button and subscribe. Remember, 98% of the listeners of the podcast are not subscribers. So please guys, hit the like button and subscribe. It's really important us to keep growing up. And of course, on the audio, give us 5 stars. It's really important to have that stars. Even if you want to give us 4, give us 4. If you want to give us 3, give us 3. But give us a rating is quite important for we keep appear on the top. And of course, on the end of every episode, scroll up and you're gonna have a message asking what you like it or what not. Take it 30 seconds to answer. So please guys, just answer. It's anonymous. Nobody gonna see what you write it. Nobody gonna know was you. So please just tell us what you like it and what you don't like it, when, where we can perform as well. But let's go back to the interview. Exactly. We need games for person that don't have just have that from 9:30 to 10:30. That have that time when the kids go to bed and just need to sit down, crack on, do some fast gaming and go back to what is.
It would be a good game for people that are not necessarily into racing games, like myself. Really making a game I would enjoy. And honestly, I spend hours sometimes just playing around, like doing laps, which, they start as, okay, let me find if there is any bug, anything I want to improve. But I feel myself, okay, this is fun. This is fun to play. The track itself, they did a great job to designing it, which has the right amount of difficult, but it's not in a frustrating side term. But yeah, I feel like we need more arcade games like that, and I feel like both people playing racing sim racing games, they will enjoy it, and people that are not even
I think so.
playing racing games. And as you mentioned on the DMs on Twitter, maybe people will start playing these and then evolve to some sim arcade games, and then they really get into the whole racing, like a getaway drag in a video game.
Yeah, he's I think is I like sim racing and I like the immersion. I don't want to lie, I have a wheel that will be there, you see, and I have everything. And I like that immersion, I like all that. But sometimes I like to relax, to sit down on a chair and just play something easy going that's going to bring me fun. And fun can be arcade. And I think we need to remember that arcade was the goal, the some goal that exactly, that's to bring everything together.
Grandfather of all the sim racing games, especially Sega Rally and Daytona was even Ridge Racer. Actually, the director of Sega Rally, he was also the director of Ridge Racer, Kenji Sasaki.
Because after it was great games that suddenly they, I think the last Ridge Racer, which one was 2008? Official. Because I think after came another one and Unleashed, and I don't remember now when was, but it was other type of genre that was good. And
maybe somebody could revive it like I'm doing with this.
I think just someone have to put the effort. Someone have to put the effort.
I really hope to give inspiration more than anything. I mean, of course,
and someone outside of the community, like you say, have to be someone that is not belong to the racing community. Probably
Yeah, I
to
mean,
not
it's
be to not feel the pressure of develop an arcade game.
yes, I feel like that could be helpful, but might not even necessary because, for example, there is a dear friend of mine. He's also from Portugal, um, and it's a fun story because he contacted me. He wrote my email, say, "Hey, I have actually the second best world record in the Sega Rally Arcade. Uh, if you need some feedback on your game, I would love to." Uh, and then it turned out he also lives in LA, Los Angeles, and he lives 4 blocks away from my place. So when we realized, okay, dude, come over like to now. He came over.
You don't need to. I don't need to say nothing.
And he's actually he loves Sega Rally more than anything, in terms of games. But he's also a sim racing enthusiast. Like he has the rig, so he's playing like everything from Gran Turismo to GTR to Assetto Corsa. So he comes from a really var-
Background, good
wide
background. Yeah.
background. And he gave me actually really good input about, like, he brought his Xbox Series X and say, okay, now you have to play this game because so you understand what's missing in yours. So you really went the extra mile to show me, not just tell me how to improve my game. So I feel like a knowledge of sim racing can be converted into
Arcade.
again,
Yeah.
it could be arcade or sim arcade. There are a lot of, in fact, a lot of great indie titles are being made now, or with people that are really passionate, and maybe they can see better the flows. I feel like I'm really ignorant in the racing field, so I'm really more like naive in terms of, okay, maybe I come up with a feature that it's already existing for 10 years, and as I am all happy,
Exactly.
and then I just go, okay, well, there's been well, so it came more
But that is
organically.
your version. But that's your version. So
Yeah.
it's gonna
So
be always
in a
different.
way, in a way, I don't want to learn too much because I don't want, like, maybe it's something I don't want. I'm not gonna end up adding because I feel like I'm copying. But if you don't know it and you come up with the idea, I have the clean cautions. It's like, hey,
Exactly.
we great minds
And in
think
term
alike.
and in terms of future for the Overjump Rally, so if you say release the early release in 2024, as you say.
No. I would like to have a demo released
Demo, okay, because that's my next
within a
question.
few months. Yes, which I'm gonna also
Okay,
send to Sega and say, hey, here's the pitch. We can
okay.
make this game completely
So
with a really low budget overall because I found most of the assets already. We don't even need to model anything, and already create the physics. I'm gonna have all the basic concept of checkpoints and saving. We're gonna have, of course, to do online game, but at the same time, it's not gonna be huge. So even with either just me or a small team of not even 5 people, we can really bring this to home in a polished
that's perfect.
way. And yeah, I feel like at least early access to 2024, if again Sega gives me the blessing, it's doable.
And if Sega don't give you the blast, what you gonna change?
Well, yeah, so there are options where I'm also applying for a mega grant, which is a grant with no strings attached from Epic Games. They
Okay,
made a Real Engine, and also they made Fortnite. So they have so much money, they really give them away to interesting projects made in a Real Engine 5. So the idea is like, okay, I'm gonna pitch to them. Hopefully, I will get some money, which also I can leverage to Sega. Say, hey, you don't need to give me any money. I can finish this game by myself. I just need your licensing, which again
signature.
happened before. And if they want just to call it Overjump Rally because they don't want to put this Sega name, I'll be okay. Ideally, I would love to be this Sega Rally Overjump because I feel like
Yeah.
it's a good return. People really like the title. If you play
And
it,
you never
Sega
know.
Rally,
Can bring again some arcades to the shopping mall. You never know that.
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
they can like it and they can push.
Yeah, so yeah, if Sega says no and Epic says yes, I might just finish the game as Overjump Rally, as a tribute of the rally games from the arcade from the 90s.
So the plan is
it
there.
would be like,
You already have the plan.
yeah,
Trace.
but I don't promise anything. Let's say the fact that, you know, I'm using like a different title, it's because I potentially do that. But I might just move to something else at that point. We'll see. At least I'm gonna have a demo that's, you know, finished, polished, fun to play. It would be a bittersweet, for sure, because I'm sure, you know, Sega Rally for Saturn sold 1.2 million copies, and plus all the millions of people that played in the arcade, and plus there was, you know,
and
the
PC,
Sega Rally,
and after
PC,
after went to PC,
Sega Rally 2 for Dreamcast, Sega Rally 2006 PlayStation 2, Sega Rally Revo, and Sega Rally 3, which was the arcade version of Revo. So I feel like, you know, there is a solid base, and plus people that heard about it but never had a chance to play, because now it's not even available. You can buy it.
Exactly.
Mostly because of licensing. I feel like, okay, if we get the licensing for Overjump, we might also include the older games inside Overjump, which is part of the, in the new pictures I just released today, you notice there is a booth called Club Sega, where you're gonna be able to found a plugin to emulate games inside a Real Engine 5 while the game is running.
Okay.
Similar to Shenmue or Yakuza, where you go to an arcade and you can play.
And you play the old games. Yeah.
So,
okay,
so that was my idea. It's like, you know, since we're getting the same licensing, you know, and just get.
Yeah, this will be the best tribute. Exactly.
Yeah, play the
game. The game. We have to be honest. The games, they don't take so much space to emulate. So it will be easy.
Yeah, honestly, like compared to everything else, even one texture like 8K texture is probably half of what they. Yeah, I have to check the size. Yeah, that's
the evolution that you had in 30 years. Sometimes we don't, because we've been living that. We don't realize so much. But if you start thinking the evolution that we have from the late 90s until these days, being racing games and everything is crazy.
The polygons in my game, there are 350 million polygons just in that map.
Okay.
And I think the older map was 30,000 polygons. So how much is it?
Whoa.
Like 10, 100,000, 10,000. I think it's 100,000 bigger. 100,000 just in poly count, which doesn't mean it's better, but yeah, it's insane if you think it that way. And the card itself is like 1.5 million polygons, you know, because I'm using nanites, so it doesn't matter when you get to that point. Nanite is this technology from Unreal Engine 5 that allows you to basically automatically scale the model based on the size that's on the screen, while before you had to use LODs, which is level of details, and usually you have like 5 or 6 LODs based on the size on the screen, and automatically will switch. But sometimes you will notice the switch because all the models have less and less polygons. But of course, you keep approximating. But now Nanite does that automatically for everything that you turn on, put it available. So yeah, and also the models are even smaller in size when you save them. So you really get the best of worlds, like high quality models and also they take less space in the hard drive, because most of the space is taken by textures anyway. So yeah, that's some optimization you have to do, especially if there are elements you're never gonna see up close, so you're not gonna put like 4K textures. Actually, I designed a plugin for Unreal Engine 5 that does that. Tells you like what's the size of the textures you need when you get close enough. Yeah, it was. I didn't.
Yeah, because even on the image that you have, the working around You have the waterfall. So there is a lot of work there and everything. So it's crazy. All the effort that you are put around and detail around every track.
Yeah, I mean,
because that's the thing of rally games. Is more difficult to create all the environment than you create on a circuit game. Because if you go in a circuit game, you have less environment around.
Yes, but at the same time, you need to be extremely precise. So as I mentioned before, I think before we start recording, I actually, because of my demo, Overjump demo, I got hired by a studio. The studio is called Straight 4, and it's actually a new studio, but with veterans from the Simracing community. They worked on titles like GTR, Project Cars, and Automodelista. So, you're into this field, and some of the studies you mentioned them before. And so basically, they hire me because I have 2 years of experience in Unreal Engine 5, which is a pretty new engine. Actually, I started using it as soon as it came out, while they used to work on their own engine or Unreal Engine 4. So there is some stuff you need to basically learn, a lot of new tools, new workflows. So I'm really even if I have only 2 years of experience as a game developer in total, those 2 years are on this specific engine. So I have that advantage, let's say. So I'm both learning and teaching. It's a kind of weird situation in a way, because at one point it's like, okay, this guy clearly they know more than me, but not for this specific stuff. So it's like, okay, guys, this is the new way to do it. And I feel almost bad to say so, because I don't want to, impose myself, knowing that I'm the last, that joined the team and the game world industry. But also, if they hire me, it's because they've seen something interesting in my demo. So I feel honestly, Overjump already brought me the checklist I was aiming to in terms of exposure and knowledge that I could, convert into actually getting jobs. That already happening. So even if Sega shuts me down, say, hey, I learned this engine, I got hired, I'm enjoying the.
Because let me say, you get hired for one game title, that's GTR. That probably is a game that everyone is waiting for the 2024. So everyone today, I think it was today released or yesterday they released another picture, and it was a screenshot. It's inside of Audi, and everyone was tweeting around. Everyone was going crazy. So it's a title that is promising a lot. So it's good. It's a good opportunity, believe me.
Yeah, Ian almost picked one of my pictures to post. He changed his mind at the last moment, because I took some screenshots inside the game. I posted on the forum, private forum we have, and Ian was like, "Oh, it's really cool." And then there were other pictures somebody posted a few years before, and he picked that one, which is great. It's the internal camera. Mine were
now I think even the light, the light effect and everything was really, really good. I think Unreal 5 is crazy how good it is. And now that we look for these graphics, when we go back to the old graphics, for example, even the PS4, you start to realize more the defects, where it was bad.
No,
I don't know, it's my eyes. When I moved from PlayStation,
it's spoiling us, in a way.
When I moved from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 1, I remember, I think the first game I played on PlayStation 2 was Gran Turismo 3, because it was coming with a console, and Final Fantasy X. And after I was looking for Final Fantasy X, and I was looking for Final Fantasy 9 on the PS1, and I was, what the hell? All the graphics change so much, and you don't realize, all the graphics on PS1 was not so good as I was imagining, because suddenly our eyes saw something much better.
Yeah, actually, I put a tagline with graphics as you remember as a kid for my Overjump. because so many
Yeah,
times you have vague memory. And again, Sega Rally already aged gracefully, but some other games, and not because the devs weren't good. It's many times either an artistic choice that made sense at the time, or really you had hardware limits that
yeah.
hard you can get better than this. You can have more FPS, more polygons, better environments, more details. Now it's really like with some limits, but still you are able. I create an entire forest with rocks. They're like and millions of polygons. So
And the
hundreds
game's
of
been
millions
made
of
in
polygons.
online. The game's been distributed online and not anymore on Blu-rays or like was on DVDs,
Yeah,
because that is what was
I mean,
blocking a
yeah,
lot of time the games, because they need space. They didn't
I
have more
can, yeah,
space on the, for example, when you talk to consoles, they didn't have more space to progress. So I think being the
yeah,
games be able to download and everything, that's open much more the possibility for
yeah.
we include more
Even
stuff. And
yeah, even self-publishing now, it's a possibility for indie devs. Because honestly,
yeah,
publisher, I don't know if it's common. I mean, first of all, Steam takes 30% of your cut. That's gone. So Epic Games takes less. I think at 18, or GOG, which is from CD Projekt Red. It's actually they don't take anything. So 30% is gone, and then the publishers. I don't know if it's a common, but a few publishers approach me and say, "Okay, so first of all, we're gonna recoup the investment we make. So all the early money you get, we're gonna get it. So if they invest hundred
exactly.
thousand in promoting your game, you're not gonna save those 100,000. So you might not even make any money. And then they want 50% of that remaining 70%. After Steam took the cut forever. It's like,
On a fun off a day, you're gonna pay for making your game.
yeah, it's honestly like because they want to be sure that at least they don't lose money. But honestly, at
Okay.
that point, you're not making anything. So I rather go by myself, self publishing. Maybe you sell less, but at least I don't feel like most of my money is went to people that basically did a few tweets. A friend of mine, he's also an indie dev for a few years, and he warned me, say we had to buy our game back from the publishers because they were not promoting. Publishers, they just get like 30 games and hope that one will really sell really well to cover the rest, and the rest maybe is going to break even, so at least they're not spending any money. So it's similar to what the venture capitalists do with the seed rounds of startups. They hope one will just become a unicorn, so $1 billion valuation. They with that money, they just, even if they invest 100,000 in 20 startups, they're gonna recoup because just one will profit them 300 millions. So at the end, it's like,
Exactly.
okay, well, you still make money, but of course. So yeah, it's numbers game for them, but it should not for you. So if there are other indie devs out, be sure. And again, thanks for this kind of promotion through a podcast, because
I was
it's helpful. Everything helps in terms of even like, oh yeah, you're not the first. Actually,
look.
I had a
I had
podcast interview from another Portuguese a few weeks ago. So, from
yeah, that's good.
Sega Lounge. Yeah, yeah.
But if I was to say you, is either on on the podcast some guests that are related with the mod community. So it's a way after you when they come to the podcast, you talk with them because they always can bring you something more and can show
Yeah.
you a little bit. A lot of them they work with the Seto Corsa. They are working with real. One of them they work with real racing teams. So we make mods for games and make the mods for they run on their own simulators. So they have a lot of work behind. So it's
Yeah,
always
the modding community, it's fascinating. I see some devs really embrace it, like Assetto Corsa. Uh, they really say, okay, just do whatever. But, you already bought the game. So for them, it's
yeah.
not like sometimes licensing, like cars, say, hey, why you're using this car we never licensed to you? And I got in touch with Marco Massarutto from Kunos Simulazioni, and I was reading an interview where those are mods, so they are beyond what we can control in terms of
Exactly.
what cars people are gonna put in the game. Which
if
is
you
honestly
open your
a
game
good
for
incentive.
mods, people can put whatever they want. If you go set a course,
And
you have
even if you
the
don't,
T-Rex.
yeah.
And then if you have the T-Rex that you drive
Yeah.
inside of a T-Rex, you have the cats, you have a guy on top of an alligator. So they put whatever you want. And people enjoy. I think, I think if you put your game as a mod, probably will lost a little bit the what you try to do, because you need to focus on
vision.
Get that homage to Sega Rally, and need to be
but at the
inside
same
of
time,
environments.
It's work I don't have to put into somebody else.
Exactly.
And I don't have to pay for. Okay, this is the basic core of the game. If you want to add more cars, suit yourself. But
and that
I don't
was the
want
mistake
to
of
spend...
Codemaster. For example, Codemaster with Dirty Rally 2. That's a game that had everything. If they have opened it to mod community, the game was still going full gas, because you have Richard Byrne Rally that was released 2004, that have a great physics, and the game still been playing. Everyone's still putting effort. The graphics are not the best, but people care about the immersion and
honestly,
about driving.
I don't see.
And sometimes it's that
you don't have. Yeah, you have nothing to lose. I mean, of course, I understand maybe some people don't want to see those mods in their game, because maybe someone else is gonna see more the mods than the game itself. But honestly, they bought the game. My job is
exactly
done. That's my vision. If somebody wants to judge me for my game, they know how to find the basic. They're gonna be videos, official videos, tweets, all of that. But then if somebody wants to take a book and rewrite some chapters and repost them online,
it's an evolution.
Mine, it's a homage. It's a fun game based on another IP. So I see this as a continuation of the tradition in a way. So I'm not gonna stop them. In fact, if I don't get the licensing from the cars, well, these look like Delta, and then they're gonna be super easy. In fact, they're gonna be not Bonsai Rosso. Then explaining you how to find the model and in which folder to place it, and you're gonna play the game as it was intended without me spending money licensing. It's their loss, because actually they make money not just to sell you the license, but
you make money from every sales.
Yeah. So it's not like, okay, we just sell you once and whatever. So I'm not saying that, they're going to change too much, because, but it's still some good money that could come their way without doing anything. There's what I know, that's if the game is not projecting to sell enough copies, for them it's not good to have, lawyers to write contracts. It would be more expensive than anything, more like a distraction. That's why, it's really small indie games, they will not get licensed. And plus, some companies simply decide, no, this is kind of like going way too low. That's why I feel like having Sega on board is going to be key, both in terms of number of copies.
Cards. I have a CD4 490, 24 gigabytes. It's already a good card, but I feel that in 1 year and a half, will not be able to produce. And for example, if I want to record, if I'm playing in 4K, I'm playing 144 hertz, over 120 frames per second. If I'm trying to record it, I can never record and compress the quality that I see on the screen. I always lose a lot of quality.
I'm struggling with that.
So I imagine how much you guys gonna struggle to emulate and make sure that we'll play properly on a lower card.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 1490, and if I play at 1440p, so it's not 4K, with 80% of scale up. So it's not really it's 80% of 1440, and I put most of high the settings, which you barely notice the difference except for reflections that I put at ultra. I reach 120 FPS. So again, I understand the 4090 is not for everyone, but I feel like by the time the game is ready, it's gonna be better itself. And again, the 4090 won't be top shelf. So
Will be a normal one.
Yeah, if I'm okay. Plus, there is a frame generation with the 40 series, so I can even double. I could get 240 with minimum input lag. That's amazing. There are these technologies that are really getting better and better. Even just the frame upscale. You can play technically 4K, but it's 50% resolution, so it's much faster overall without sacrificing reflections or good shadows. So there are like a lot of ways, and of course I'm gonna make a console version, current console, so PS5.
That's one of my questions.
Series,
because I think I think that's probably where you're gonna get a little bit more captivate more people, and where you can
but at the same
push
time,
the graphics at the maximum, no? Because graphics gonna be the.
I mean, the optimization. I feel like I want to focus on PC first, not making the mistake of trying to release everything at once. Because I mean, one, I don't have the manpower. Two, I really want to have the PC version, which is the easiest, let's say, because it's more flexible, or rather than have one that needs to play good with that hardware. I mean, there are pros and cons of doing just console because you just have that target or hardware, so he has to run good on that one. But at the same time, I feel like PC, it's a bit easier for unseasoned dev than because again, you can target for higher cards. And I want when the game comes out to have the best graphics on the market as possible, like in terms of the higher, the video you're gonna see. I'm not gonna bullshit you, record a video for my 4090 and say, oh, this is PS5 graphics. So some people, some studios do that, but I would like to have the best visual quality, and then
Well, Alessandro, for my part is everything. Thank you so much for staying with me and explaining me a little bit everything.
Thank you.
And I hope I can see more of the game. I think I'm really excited with this game. I think even everyone on Twitter was getting excited when, like I said, when Jimmy Broadbent retweet the video. Everyone was really, really excited. So I hope.
Yeah, I got a lot of exposure. Yeah.
I think.
Thank you again.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for Alessandro to join me and having an amazing talk. After that, we stay probably 1 hour more talking about it. He sent me a little bit of the beta of the game for playing and recording you guys the image, so all the image that you see, a lot of them are coming from what I'm playing around, so it's quite interesting, the game. A lot of the visuals are available on Twitter, as you guys saw, and all the social media, so really keen to know more about this amazing game. And of course, next week we're gonna go with the first just official version of the podcast, where we're gonna talk only about the news and what's going around on Simracing. And for that, I will see you next episode. See you.